My brother Vince had his knee done.
Yeah.
I got my knee done, Jordy's got his hip done.
Oh, his hip?
Yeah.
They say that's pretty easy to recover.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
I'm saying, that's what they did, that fishing killed us. You know?
Oh, absolutely. You know, my brother worked for Golden since 1977 in Meeting,
Yeah.
cleaning it, meat cutter, this kid's got,
How you doing?
Joe's fine.
I was leaving Seat Center,
All over.
here's
He's only
some,
64.
the argument from the thirties.
Ours is
Joe-
we
Joe-
worked sideways, we never went forward, backwards.
Over by
We
the,
went sideways, that's how we moved our.
And he was left-handed, so always cutting it.
I was
He's
a
at this
probation officer,
joint,
he
this
was
joint.
15 years old, yeah. Oh, he came here, doing really well, yeah.
Yeah, for me, for working on me,
It's a good thing I'm not a hard
I worked under the hotel those years.
So many
I
years
got,
ago.
in my head, I got here.
Yeah, you're doing real well.
Even my brother Vince, I asked him that too. Just
Like
moving from the hood.
tinnitus or something.
Yeah, tonight.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, won't go away.
My brother has that. They say that's pretty easy to recover.
Yeah.
We're having a good time, let's invite them in.
John, what's the matter? You're tired today. Let's make it a short one today, and take tomorrow off.
I don't wanna be
Let's
here.
take tomorrow off for a good walk.
I don't wanna go through this 12, I'm gonna stop by it.
Let's make it a short one today, all right? Is your boss out there?
There's some fun in that. I don't have one of those. Yeah, we can make it short, Maxine, you know, Maxine is coming in with millions of dollars. Thank you, Maxine, appreciate that. You got us pretty nice. What's up, bro?
There's a crazy thing.
Yeah, I was telling you, that, what I was going to do.
The brief,
Well, come up with He's gonna get some funding, but he's very confidential, and the.
Like I got back in the office and
Yes, so they received $10 million, but then the buyout of it is the buying of the streets.
I'd like to call the Schenectady City Council Committee meeting for Thursday, October 17th.
what is this?
17th. More than half the month is gone. We have one committee tonight, turn over to Mr. Rivera for finance.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to call the Finance Committee to order. And we have a couple items held over from yesterday. We have some new questions and answers from today. And the first item we'll go into is the ARPA discussion, follow up from yesterday. We were some questions from yesterday, and we asked Ms. Carver to be here to help us navigate those questions. So if we can first go to our ARPA allocation sheets. Ms. Carver, first, sorry to put you on the short notice. We were hoping to get you next Monday or next cycle, but you're gonna be off, so we have to utilize the small amount of information you may have for us.
Okay, I'm ready for you, I'm ready for you.
It's no pressure if you don't have the information, you can always email it to us.
Okay.
The takeaway from yesterday is that I know you and your department is aggressively going on to put these contracts out to the relevant agencies who was awarded the ARPA funding. There are some agency that is still you're working with them. They're still trying to get their documents in place and also try to leverage the other funding from the other agencies. So there are a couple agencies here. that we would like you to kind of tell us if you have the information as to where they are in terms of their portion of their work, can I say?
Okay.
And that would be the first one, Habitat for Humanity.
Habitat for Humanity, 500,000 is allocated to the Rankin House. Their project is due to start March of 2025 for that house, so they have all of the other funding, but it's not going to be ready to take until March.
You're saying you have all the fundings?
Yes.
And you have all the documentation in
Yes,
regards to that?
yes.
So in terms of signing the contract with them,
They're already in contract. We only have one organization that is not in contract, which has been reported, to the city council. So we just have one, which is Doree. The Doree Foundation is the only subrecipient that is not in contract to use our fund.
what about BCNI, the Hamilton, like the $500,000 for BCNI?
They are on contract. There was some issues with the title on the city-owned property, not clean title. But that do have a question mark if they had some hiccups with some of their leverage funding that they were gonna use for that entire project.
These hiccups, will it affect the funding from our end? If you don't have the answer,
Yeah, I don't have the answer on that. I will say that we asked for a spending plan from BCNI. I should have that by the 23rd, the deadline is next week, so I should have that from BCNI on their plans on how they're gonna spend this money down by the deadline.
I'm talking about BCNI, what about the $1 million?
The $1 million, myself as a Department of Development, I do have concerns with being able to spend that down, in a time manner, because they do have other funding for owner occupied rehab from our CDBG. So that is, that $1 million, right now, they've only spent down $3,000, yes.
Would be able to share those concerns via email to us? And the next one, I think, is the Hamilton Hill Art Center.
Again, we have requested a spending plan for the Hamilton Art Center, they don't have site yet. So that is a concern for the Department of Development, they have not secured a site for this project.
So all in all, the BCNI $1 million and the Hamilton Art Center $1.2 million
Yes,
is of concerns.
yes,
And you have contracts for Habitat, 500,000, BCNI 500,000, and the $1 million is.
yes, they are in contract for that $1 million.
Am I missing any other agencies? Please help.
Where's the second piece of the YW, so YW, down on Washington, so they've spent 10.6 already of the 364, so what are their plans?
We asked for a spending plan for them to their project, they are still, for their Harbor House project, they did come to City Council and ask for some of those, for the capital project to be moved to the Harbor House,
Right.
which was approved by resolution, but there are funding, issues, they're still lining up all of their funding to move forward with the Harbor House.
What's the latest with the Electric City Food Co-op?
They went into contract just 2.5 weeks ago, so we received all their pre-contractual documents and they are in contract and prepared to start spending down as soon as possible as well.
Did you already talk about Carver before I came into the room?
Which one?
The Carver,
No, anything on ARPA, please go ahead and ask.
so Carver's not in contract.
Carver is not in contract.
The money was already,
It wasn't
I'm
even
sorry?
allocated.
it was brought back into the budget, it came out of we rescinded essentially, their funds were put back into the budget, so it wouldn't be.
Go ahead, please.
So, am I correct in, these monies just have to be allocated by December 31st, but spent by December 31st of 2025?
Six.
2027,
Unless
sorry.
if it's a construction project, they needed to have site, they needed to have site by the end of this year.
This year, construction of,
And we cannot make changes in 2025.
That is not clear in the
That's not
treasury
clear.
guidelines for our review. I believe the city, the municipality has some flexibility in that.
It's not just allocated, the council can allocate something, we have to be under contract with it by the December 31st. Is that correct, Mr. Farley?
That's, yes. But also too is that, like she says, if you're in construction, you gotta have a set of plans, you gotta have the site and stuff like that.
We can't go under contract if somebody doesn't have site
Site.
control.
Correct, as part of the pre-contractual documents that are required.
so who does that affect on this list?
She just meant the BCNI, right?
No, everybody, they're all in contract, just Dory is not in contract and they're not construction, so they're working on getting, they have about 85% of their pre-contractual documents, we're just waiting on a few items, their whistleblower policy, minor things.
But did you say BCNI, $1 million was a concern, BCNI?
Just if they're gonna be able to spend $1 million in the time frame that is allowed for ARPA is a concern, because they also have we've allocated other funding to them, and they're slow at spending it down, which is why we asked for a spending plan.
And so far, it's, Hamilton Arts Center is the one that does not have a site.
Correct.
Is that the infill development project or the 1 million
The infill
two?
is BCNI.
Oh, that was, I was gonna ask, what was the second BCNI project? Okay, gotcha.
It's right on one of your page there, Arnie. It's one of those, sheet.
Oh, I
I
didn't
think
think,
it's like all
Do I
put
have that
together.
oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I missed the sheet, sorry. Focused on the other sheets.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, please.
Ms. Carver, is there a deadline for when you requested to have those spending plans back, just so we can still action on it?
October 23rd.
I'm sorry, October?
October 23rd.
So have all the documents in,
To have a spending plan so that I'll be able to present that to finance on where they are with spending down the money, not to have all the documents, Mr. Mayor. We have all of the documents, if they're in contract, we've collected everything that they needed according to what we set forth for the pre-contractual requirements. So we have those documents on file.
go ahead, please.
Grant Park, we only spent 18,000. Is that correct, out of 481,000 left?
That is correct. And the park allocation, Councilwoman, is more engineering has been handling, those for ARPA.
Those are
That would be
city-
Chris Waller.
City projects,
Okay.
yeah.
And
And we do have a couple of organizations that are slow in spending, but they are aware that they are slow, and the team is constantly reminding them of the deadline and they need to spend it down. And for the most part, people are.
Because our deadline to possibly recoup those funds is sooner than ARPA deadline, right? Like we'll communicate to them that if by this date you don't have that, well, maybe not by a specific date, but if things are moving in at a good pace, then there's, we might have to recoup those funds.
I've sent out notifications saying that, for example, to BCNI, that the funds are at risk of being recaptured. So it will not be a surprise, but I use that as leverage to get the spending plan
Sure.
from the organizations.
Go ahead, please.
And this came up the other night at our meeting. You actually asked for reports on a regular basis from the folks, right?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes, and the team is working, I sent an email out to say that we just closed out the fiscal year. So reports were due to the Department of Development on the 15th. So we have a couple of stragglers, so versus sending numerous emails with the report, we're just kind of waiting for the stragglers to submit so I can send you that final report for the fiscal year versus every single quarter for every single subrecipient, because the report is cumulative. So when you look at the last report for the year, you're gonna be able to see everything that they spent, their accomplishments, the demographics that they serve with the funding. And they list out the challenges that they may have experienced spending down the funding.
Are there any other questions with regards to these?
I guess just because I've never been a part of this scenario, but should we recoup funds after we theoretically already passed the budget? How does that process proceed?
We won't be.
Can I ask a question? What time frame, if the spending plan date that I've given of October 23rd, does that work to give the information so that then you can make a decision based on a plan that the subrecipients provide?
At this point, it's what we have, you know,
Yeah,
that's kind of,
that's a good question.
Well, I think that you were mentioning that you were hoping that we were actually gonna finish our work this week.
Yeah,
And so we kind of need. Well,
fingers crossed.
Well, no, I mean, I think that, that was what, I mean, Mr. Mudavarian has said that a few times, but, I'm certainly hoping that we're gonna finish our work by November 1st this year, but, it seems to have been going smoothly enough that I was kind of hoping that we might be able, I was on the same page as Mr. Mudavarian, hoping that we could try to do it this week, but.
I was on that page too.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah, but, you know,
Yeah,
these are good questions that we ask.
but my understanding was that the ARPA wouldn't necessarily be for this budget. If anything we brought back would just be used in-house because now it exists here. And I think we probably have enough projects to be able to spend it on. So my understanding was not we were trying to get it to do anything with this budget, but that we would be able to have it in our, you know, because if the city has it in, you know, in our fund, then we still have 2 years to spend it on projects. That was my understanding, that this wasn't necessarily to balance this budget. Because this budget's already balanced.
Correct, that would be my position also. And some of those, you know, the organizations have good intent, and it may be that, and I'll use BCNI or Habitat hypothetically without referencing them specifically, they have mapped out broader scenarios. It might be that Habitat can't do all the houses or BCNI, so they might be able to do 1 or 2. So it might be split into councils, not take all the money back, but take a portion back that they're not gonna be able to use, and then to look for some other criteria, Council President's pointed out, that would be a project within the city that we could do, meeting the criteria and implement it within the timeline.
Well, bear in mind also, we do fund these agencies through CDBG, so it's not like a loss, they always can. Funding is always there for them to tap into, regardless of, it's not an ARPA, it's gonna be available through CDBG.
Just because we use BCNI as an example, I wanted to chime in. I think,
I said Habitat.
that we hold some of the responsibilities on that. We didn't go forth with closing of those properties. The titles weren't clear, so that's part of the holdup. Why they couldn't move forward with the project as well. So I think that should be taken into consideration when we think if we're gonna recapture the part that we played as a city too. Because those projects were dedicated, that money funding in the resolution is dedicated to be used for certain city-owned properties. We laid that out in the resolution.
I was just kind of to your point around like agencies that we've been historically funded. I also wouldn't want those agencies to presume that we would continue to fund them because historically we've done it through the community block grant money. I think just one thing that I think is important is that we look at, a more continue to work towards a more equitable resource allocation plan. And I think that so sometimes some of those agencies that we have funded for historically over a period of time can grow almost dependent on that, and that's not really a sustainable model. It's just something that they should be made aware of.
So really the only four that we need to, the only four that are part of this 2025 budget then are, well, there were four that the finance department recommended that we take the money back, and that is the Carver, the Riverside Park, the sidewalk program, and the empowerment center. So really, it's wonderful. We all wanted to see you here tonight because we had questions, but in terms of our, finishing our budget negotiations, we have time, in other words, to think about the rest of these ARPA projects besides those four. Is what I'm hearing. If we can't use this money, except for those four projects, then we can kind of table this, correct?
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I was understanding what you guys are saying.
That's what I'm thinking is about here now, because there's certain stipulation, but like, say for example, if we have to pull funding from BCNA, and sorry I have to use the name, nothing against you, BCNA is doing a good job. Would they qualify for CDBG funding for this specific project under this $1 million?
Or home.
Home funding, okay.
Which they get,
Yeah.
they get funding, but
Yes.
they never, the amount that ARPA gave is much larger than our,
wouldn't have that CDBG.
annual allocation would give them to, the ARPA funding allows them more funding to do more bigger projects than what they would be able to do with our annual allocation.
Go ahead, please.
And in addition to that, you said that we played a role in it, them doing that, and just we need to think about what BCNI does and how they, provide affordable housing and all of that. And so if the holdup was us, and they're still able to complete their project within a couple of years, I don't know that, to me, taking their money back does not, would not benefit them. It wouldn't benefit residents of the city who need affordable housing. That's a, housing crisis is one of the things that we are facing for people in certain income categories, so.
Well, I don't think we want to take them back, but if they're not coming up or stepping up to par and to provide whatever is needed, then we don't want to lose that funding.
But part of it's our fault.
Well, it's not our fault, but we don't want to be in the same boat of losing it by trying to work it all the way to the end of 31st of December and it dropped right there and we lost it.
That's not what she said, though. She
No,
said
I'm just making a statement, I know, but I'm just making, speaking out loud. We don't want that to ever happen.
I think the infill project will happen. The one that I had a concern was the $1 million the owner occupied rehab funding. There was changes in leadership. There was some capacity changes, and they have other funding that we've given them that they haven't spent down yet. So that's why the $1 million is a concern for me, because the other funding that's still on the table, they're currently right now requesting extensions on CDBG funding. So that's why the $1 million, for the record, that's why it's a concern, because we have other funding that we allocated to them that they have struggled with spending down appropriately.
Yeah, and exactly, that's the one I'm talking about. The other $500,000, it's pretty much a done deal. They just gotta process out and get them going. It's $1 million. Go ahead.
I couldn't remember when, I know that we've given extensions to the Carver project, but I actually thought that the last extension expired on September 30th, but I haven't been able to get an answer about that.
I don't think that we gave, the Carver, because the co-op came on, we never gave them a time frame.
I thought that we had a contingency on the funding,
No,
that they had to raise the rest of the funding.
We never reallocated the money. We made an amendment, they brought back the property to us, we sent the property back to us.
Co-op and put forth.
Yes.
No, the Carver Community.
Yes,
It's a co-op.
Oh, the co-op, yeah. I
For
thought you meant the
car
co-op.
building.
they never came back to us with their plan, and then we never moved forward to reallocate the money to them. So that money was there back into ARPA, without being reallocated.
I don't understand what your point is.
I thought that we had a contingency on that money, and I thought that contingency
That
ended.
ended a long time ago.
That was with Carver, the
Yeah.
previous organization, but not with the co-op.
The previous organizations didn't meet the criteria, so the money
Right.
came back into the city. In the new formed organization, we never reallocated that money to them.
Okay,
That is
so we don't have
correct,
to worry about that.
So that
Okay,
was sitting there in the,
gotcha. I
Unallocated,
understand now.
okay.
I don't know why I thought we still had
Well,
a contingency.
we had them here and we had conversations with them and we implied that money was available to that particular group, but as.
They were supposed to
as
come
was
back.
said- hmm?
They were supposed to come back to
They
us,
were
though.
supposed to come back and provide a list of
Oh,
things
okay, and they did.
that I don't know how much was ever sent, but that it never just didn't come back to the council.
Gotcha.
And it's very unfortunate because it's a project that,
Thank
you know, would have been very beneficial, but we didn't. Now we're at this point.
I look at your face.
No, I just,
It's
I think.
it's more
that's-
question and answer, yeah. Yeah, this is developing into more questions and answer, yeah. All right, any other questions from Ms. Carver? Seeing none, thank you so much for your time, appreciate it. Are you gonna email that, stuff to us?
Yes, remind me if you want to send
Part
out.
of your report.
I'm just joking.
Sounds like me.
I'm just joking, yes, I will get
I know you have.
Mine was second sometime. Didn't send it to you, though?
So we have some work to do on the ARPA. Some serious work. We had some items from last evening that we asked for you to bring.
Okay,
Do you wanna go through that, and then I will go
what
through it?
items are we talking about?
Can you go through your list from yesterday? Please?
The what?
Can you go through your list from yesterday?
What do you mean, our list?
Of things that you're supposed to bring back.
Okay, yes, so you asked me to bring back, where that $10,000 donation was.
Yes, sir.
I think I got that. Pass these out. And that's And what had happened was that the 10,000 did come in and it went right into the code 831.2402B. So what they did is, you can see I tried to dark line it where the credit came in. They credited the expenditure side of it, so they really spent $13,000 because what they did is that by putting the credit into that expenditure account, it raised the balance by $10,000 more. And the reason why the chief wanted to do that is because he wanted to use that money directly. He didn't want us to put our revenue and like not increase the budget, you know what I mean? So it was for him, his way to like make sure that he got it into that budget. You guys see that?
Yes.
The other thing you asked for was a copy of so far what we have for changes that you guys requested.
Yes.
So I have changes on the general fund, revenues and expenses. The second page is capital projects changes. And the third is the water fund with the revenue that for the rent. Sure.
Any good? Yes.
So you wanna talk about those first, the changes?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, so the very first one is, what we did the very first day was to move $5,000 from the deputy registrar into the city clerk's salary. So what we're doing, we subtracted the 5,000 from the deputy registrar's salary, brought her to 47,000, added it to the city clerk's salary, and she went from 83 to 88. Then the stipend, we took that out because that's where we had the stipend for 5,000 plus the 3,000. So we took the 5,000 out of there. We reduced the appropriated fund balance by that 5,000, and so those 3,000 is left for the city clerk, right? The second one is the city senior center program. You asked not to use the police overtime, so what we did is we increased the senior program by 60,000. And we're reducing the contingency by the 60,000. So there's no change in the budget at all. We had a MOA for out of grade for one of the record access clerks in law department for CSEA, that the CSEA demanded that we put in the budget. And so until there's actual negotiations complete, we'll put it out of grade until the contract is complete. And again, we're taking that out of judgment and claims because it's referenced with the law department. The last one was the 20,000 for Public Safety Foundation. You wanted to put the 20,000 back in. So we went from 5 to 25,000. And again, we're taking another 20 out of contingency. So there is no budget changes. And the proposed changes is, keep it 5,000 in the revenue side and 5,000 on the expense side, so it's equal. The second page is capital funding. We're moving utilities and IT. We're taking the 200,000, and we're taking 140,000 out of 200 because Bawan says the servers are okay, as you remember you said. And the 60,000 is to upgrade all the computers, as Mr. Butcher asked.
Thank you for that.
It's a reduction of 140,000. Under golf.
That's a reduction of 140,000?
Yes.
Wait.
So we're going from 200,000 to 60,000 for utilities?
Yes, because the one had said that the servers were good. Right. And then Mr.
We
Butcher.
actually purchased them this year.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. You got me.
Yeah, and Mr. Butcher wanted him to update all the computers instead of waiting. So he requested originally, and the budget was 200,000 again, but he said, we'll go with that. And so he only needed the 60,000 for the upgrades.
Okay.
So that just reduced capital. Yep, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, the mayor or Paul said that if they purchased the computers, they wouldn't potentially be able to get to all of them this year.
Not in a couple months, but they will work on them into next year. Make sure that they get it done for the 12-month duration, but not like 2 or 3 months to get all done. It will take time.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to the golf course. This is all under capital reserves. The sweeper originally, Mr. Wong he had 15,000, but it was actually 45,000, so we had to increase that by 30,000. But again, the grass mower, which he had budgeted for 150,000, is actually only 50,000, so we're subtracting the 100,000 out of that. And the utility cart, which he had as 18,000, is actually 23,000. So we're adding 5,000 on that. And then the water department, as we mentioned, we're adding water infrastructure for the Craig and Main Street for $1 million. And we're decreasing $1 million for the Bar Street design and the sewer by $1 million. So total capital funds are going down by $205,000. Next one is the third one, page is water fund. The water rental, we're making a change from 5,000 revenues, so decreasing that by 5,000, so the new budget will be 0. And so we're taking that 5,000 out of light, power, and gas, going from 985,500 to 980,500. That way we don't have to deal with, appropriate fund balance or anything, so makes it a clean sweep. So those are the changes so far. I mean, nothing is guaranteed, or you guys can make more things if that's not one.
Thank you for pushing these changes, for providing it to us. What is our contingency today? Do you, by any chance, you have your actual?
We have the actual today. I didn't bring it with me.
So you did.
Today, so I didn't bring my.
Contingency budget, would it be on these?
You got it.
Is it on this?
Yes, you have your,
Yeah.
you have it on ready? Okay.
Here, I'll let you.
It's line,
We are currently
Oh, he's got it.
1989 contingency, which is for a period of end of September 2024, $331,560.
I'm sorry, could you say that more slowly, please?
331,560.
Thank you.
That's what we spent.
Correct.
and we're bringing this down to 220,000.
Hope
As
no
of-
fires. Mr. Marino's gonna teach them how, people not have fires.
Oh, geez.
So if you have a fire, just have insurance.
That's right. Well, like the nurse said, if you're gonna cut something, you gotta take away, you gotta take away something if you're gonna, if you want something, you gotta take away from someplace else. To me, that seems the one without hurting any other departments.
Any question on these changes as of now? Any other, there were a couple more? From last evening,
That's all I
is
have.
that right?
The salary list or?
The salary list, did you wanna do the salary list? I have
So
it.
I thought, see, I didn't make a lot of notes last night, those, I was looking at, I saw you were making notes.
I think that was all that you asked for me.
That was all?
Yeah.
What was the salary list we're talking about?
We gave out last night.
Yeah, you did that last night. We talked
I just
about
wanted,
that.
if you wanted that number.
Anyone have question on the salary list? I think, yeah, I was gonna touch in your questions now. If nobody else has anything, we'll just go straight into in your documents today, there is a page. So the set of documents we received today, we should have a page here with a list of questions.
This is the salary list that you're talking about?
Yes, we did that yesterday. Unless there is anything we need to address, we'll address it.
Okay, and then the papers that we got today.
There were some questions on it. I did print the question out and attach it to the backup. This one, right.
So should we take a minute to read through the paperwork that we
Yeah,
got
yeah,
today?
yes, go
Because
ahead.
we just started.
Go ahead, and then we'll go through each of the questions.
And we didn't get a chance to answer all of them, we didn't get.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We just talked about.
Is there a folder for,
1-0.
can you make a copy for the mayor, Maxine, please? Sorry.
3-1-0.
We'll just give Sam a minute.
This is just a question, there's no answer, right?
Yeah, no, I think if you look at some of the backups here, there were like one or two that got answered. The rest, we'll just go through them and maybe
Go through them.
Anthony can address them, or we'll just, if not, we'll just have to wait.
So we'll just go through them all, right?
Yeah, we'll go through them, and whatever can answer today, we'll answer. If not, we'll have to revisit tomorrow. According to the same package that you received today, there's a question from so under revenue, and it's, I think it's A2130F, excessive, the waste collection fee. So we have revenue in it against that, but,
21, excuse me, God bless you, 2130 F.
2130F. So you will see that there's a $500,000 there set aside for that revenue line.
What page was that?
It's in the revenue page.
Revenue. Page 2, almost to the bottom, A2130F.
Oh, I got it.
So the committee was set up and review this over time, and we need to act on it to move forward because it's there in the budget. So next Monday, you will see an agenda item for us to discuss and move forward with this program in terms of the fee structure for this line.
Just A2130F, the rest of them we
Yes,
can.
$500,000 being set aside in revenue for this program.
Mr. Rivera,
You have,
are we
please.
getting a policy or any documents, or will it be a presentation?
Yes, there will be documents, which will be in the package for tomorrow, and a presentation. May I just want to highlight anything?
Can you have ongoing discussions with that? Appreciate Mr. Woodbury forward.
Doreen, I know you're part of it, if you want to say anything about it, so kind of brief us, maybe, some of us who are going to compete. That's what I was going to ask.
And what we've decided, or the?
Yes, I think the team decided to move forward with it at this point in time, and they can do a presentation on Monday, and to call for a public hearing on the proposed
Quite
fee
honestly,
structure.
I've kind of heard what you've heard, which I don't think as far as I was involved, there was nothing definitely put forward. I've heard what Mr. LaFond had to say at the meeting here. I haven't been to one of the neighborhood meetings where he's been present. Looking forward to the presentation. There were multiple things that we discussed, a lot of different.
No, I just want to brief you on that, because more will be discussed Monday at the committee meeting.
Right.
But I just want to
So
highlight that.
we've been actively.
Because we have it in revenue, but we need to act on it, so to review it, to make amend as possible, how much we can, and to call for the public hearing and move forward so that we can adapt this into next year, because it's in the budget.
So does that hold up the approval of the budget until we have the public hearing?
No. But we just, putting everything in line to make it happen.
Right.
It's a council, it's on the council now to act on it.
Right.
Do we move forward with what's recommended? Do we make changes? It's up to us.
And us as a council, we've really done nothing.
Well, I wouldn't say that so loud. I wouldn't say that so loud, because the committee was formed,
Right.
there was no recommendation from the committee to us until we, Anthony and I have been discussing it in terms of revenue, in terms of all these things, and we need to put it in place. It's not in place, so what do we need to do? We need to act.
Right.
And that's how this is coming forward. So I think it's not a blame game. It's about everybody has things to do, and the committee worked really hard. We have to give them credit.
We did.
And we now have to do our work. So, for lack of word, clean it up and move forward with it.
So Mr. Rivera, if it's already in the budget and this is not going to impact this budget, so where is the 500, is that coming out of the fund balance right now? How it's reflected in the budget?
No, propose these changes would go forward to create a revenue stream that would equal $500,000.
So right now, but you just said that it wasn't in the budget, so right now, it's in the budget is balanced, so where is it where you presented it coming from at this moment.
It's balanced with an anticipation, the way it comes to.
Anticipation?
Yes, we're gonna adapt
So-
this, change, and move forward.
So the finance, because we are in a finance committee meeting, we can't, because we have to have a public hearing about these changes,
Yes.
we can't just, okay.
So that's a timing, so we need to get this done before the 1st of January.
I don't see how.
How can we vote on the budget? I guess
Yeah.
I'm not really understanding how we can vote on this budget,
I-
these figures.
We've talked about it, hasn't moved forward, we're now looking to move it forward. Proposal that making changes in the code would generate $500,000 in revenue. It's to go after those individuals that drive up the cost and increase our expenses. If the council chose not to move forward in that, I am very confident that I can generate $500,000 in revenue with the current code.
Okay,
It'll require
okay,
some reallocation of police, use the SNAP crews, other ones, but nobody's garbage is in compliance, so what we'll do is we would cite every house for $50 because the code is just out of date and it has not been changed, and very easy to generate $500,000 in revenue.
This won't affect the budget because look at the police, the fees, look at the code enforcement. We budgeted for anticipated fee increase and revenue from various departments. That will get implemented next year. So we are just projecting ahead that this is gonna happen next year. So this is one of them.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's a little late, but it's not too late for us to review and make our recommendation and move forward because we need to adapt it. Go ahead, Annie.
And not, you know, I know we're in finance, but I think it's very important and imperative that we do this. Again, as the mayor states, our code is so outdated. It's in our code that no bulk items are in there. We don't know we throw bulk items out, so to generate the $500,000, I think is feasible for this year's coming budget.
Go ahead, please.
I'm just saying, from my perspective, it's presumptuous to assume that it's going to continue through with no additional hitches, as we've already received an email from an individual speaking to how it's going to be implemented. So I can understand the practicality, and I appreciate the additional reassurances that regardless of how this proceeds, the mayor feels confident that he'll be able to recoup those funds, which I think is a reassurance, at least for me. But definitely with respect to the work that the committee has been doing, there's an important segment that still needs to be done, which is hearing from the community. And also, we haven't talked about, again, the email we received and how this is going to impact those individuals on the ground, so the
What
workers.
would come forward Monday is a series of proposals. Still the discretion of the city council to modify those in a number of ways. And again, the goal is to get some efficiency into the system and cover our current operating costs.
The OGS commissioner will be at Monday's meeting to present this, and you know, we are sure to ask questions and to make changes.
Wouldn't we just be able to add that to projected revenue for this budget though?
It's already here.
It's in there, it's right here, yeah, it's in there, that's why I'm.
It's like all the other agency, like, let's use, for example, the police fee increase, the code enforcement fee increase is already in there. We're just going through the
Sure.
process of calling the public hearing, getting it done, and adopting that resolution or ordinance, and just
Okay.
do the PR portion of it, and let people know that these things are out there and the effective dates.
Right, what we're saying is that whether this moves forward or not, out of that same department, we'll be able to recoup the money based on the way things are existing right now. If there were no changes, that's
And
what
the
we're
mayor, oh my
saying.
God, that,
Mhm.
yes, it will be a zero impact regardless, yeah. But if we implemented this and it's
My
successful, then
implementing
we'll
the current
funding.
code puts a lot of pressure on the city council to make quick changes here. Literally, every house is gonna get cited, so.
Yes, everybody is in non-compliance with regards to city code in terms of, do we wanna do that? No, so let's act and, bring some things into, in line.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with
And
this.
the
I-
PR segment is gonna be out there to kind of notify people of these, changes. So we'll have more, I just wanna bring that up to the council because it's part of the budget and so, not mention it. Because as I promised, last year budget is to look at all the fees, and that's what I'm doing. Working with department head, working with finance, working with the mayor to make sure that we bring all these fees in line with today's, service, the cost of service. And, those are all the components. Unfortunately, I wasn't on that committee, but, as the finance chair, I have to drive it to make sure that we do not have a hole in the budget.
And I'm sure that we're not going to use this as a process to leverage action from the city council. I'm sure that the mayor's not saying that, John, okay?
Nice, that's that.
So noted, Mr.
That's nice. All right. We'll have more detail on that next Monday. Let's go through, the question. You should have your sheet, Mr. Williams, questions. So we'll just go through each one and, if Ms. Ferrari can answer, if not before, and, come back tomorrow and get these answered, for Mr. Williams, tomorrow. The first one is, A, 8686, Director of Development.
A 10% increase, would increase her 24, her salary. 10% increase would increase her salary from the mayor's proposed budget of $88,000 to $93,991.
$93,000.
$991.
And just a reminder, let's avoid any name attached to this. Let's deal with the position. The next one is A8686, zoning officer.
Zoning officer, at the mayor's proposed 2025 budget is at proposed salary at $66,843. And with the 657, it would go to 67,500.
Oh, yeah, that's already written here, yeah.
The next one is A8687, homes coordinator.
Homes coordinator, under the mayor's proposed budget, his salary would be $69,821. With the proposed for Mr. Williams, $179 to $70,000.
That's even.
Yep.
Again, I think on this sheet that you just,
And then the next one is A1410, city clerk.
City clerk, under the mayor's proposed budget is $83,235 with a 10% increase. It would go to $88,892 plus the $5,000 registrar would come to $93,892.
$93,800 and,
$93,892.
thank you.
And then the next question is the Commissioner of Finance recommend, mayor discretionary fund to address future qualified applicants, Deputy Commissioner of Finance, additional 15%.
I thought that was just the way in which it was presented. If we're trying to just have an adjustable means to respond to candidates, the way it's been presented previously was that would be an appropriate use.
I didn't think I put anything in the.
Yeah, he doesn't have it.
I thought it was 10,000.
15.
What's this?
Let's talk about.
Yeah, I had a question on that, and I just explained it.
I had 15,000 from, maybe smooth it.
So we have 10,000.
$10,000 in the mayor's.
Yeah,
We have
that's not for salary, no, that's for.
That's for
discretionary,
This,
for his travel, for the keys to the city, and all the other stuff.
So Commissioner,
Well, the way I heard.
isn't that what we had the code for discretionary,
I
No,
didn't put
we
anything
had
in
the
there.
ARPA one, we took it out, and then we put it out last year for salaries.
so when I looked at it, 10,000, I thought that was it.
Me too.
So, yes,
so there's no mayor's discretionary
that's
fund?
why,
Yeah, it's 15,000.
There's 15,000, and what we have.
What was that, what was the line?
Just like recruitment.
So I think we need to put that in front, because we're still, we're still.
Yeah, it's
It's
under A1989, 495.
For 10,000.
There were two funds which was taken out, 95, 80.
95?
80, 495A, page 18 in your book. And as you recall, what happened was we were trying to use it, the Corporation Council at times said he can only use for his own staff, his own bureau, and not for others, so that's why we moved it into undistributed, so we could move it for other people, and then we just took it away, you know, we're just taking it.
Zero, yeah.
That's why some people aren't employed by the city.
But if I can recall our conversations last year, it was,
Funds,
No, but
No, I got you.
everybody works for this.
Yeah,
You know,
no, let's not do that.
yeah, I'm sorry, I thought.
Let's stay focused.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please, Mr. Williams.
if I can recall from last year, I can remember that conversation, but I thought we switched our focus to saying that the mayor could use that discretionary fund line to achieve those same needs.
Yes, and that's why it was moved to this, I remember that was.
That's
open
right.
account.
It was taken away last year, too.
Oh, it's still funded in that line.
No.
No, the discretionary fund is, so that.
Yeah, discretionary is not for.
There's no,
The recruitment, discretionary is for the
This is
mayor.
the stuff that-
Yeah, but it could be, it's
we have
allowable
$10,000
use, is what
in
he's-
this year's budget.
No, but mostly that 10,000 for the, plaques, things for the city, the proclamations, all that stuff, that's what the discretionary funds are used for.
So.
And there was $13,000 in expense in 2023.
Yeah, it was utilized, yeah.
The mayor never used the recruitment fund, he was never able to.
I mean, in the discretionary.
Well, I would say that,
They
yes.
get reimbursed on something there, so.
The mayor did try to use that and it didn't work out with some individual, I recall.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
so,
the
yeah,
corporation council said it couldn't.
yeah. What is your take on this, Williams? Would you like to see, what, 15% or something? Or some funding there? Yeah, I totally got excited about it because I looked at the mayor's discretionary, and thought that's $10,000 is there still for that.
Right, and I would say of the uses that are primarily used for Mr. Ferrari, that sounds like the class, which would be 8, 12, 10, 450, so. I think with it being entitled discretionary, I don't think we need to ask for an assessment of what's used in those funds, but again, from last year, I thought an appropriate use was in these instances similar to one that we're discussing right now with adjusting the line. So that's why I recommended it.
So can I just ask a question?
Go ahead, please.
So are you saying that in your email today, are you recommending that the mayor's discretionary fund is used to increase the salary of the commissioner of finance? Because that's the way I'm reading this in your email.
We're having this discussion because there is a potential that it is not going to be an appropriate, the salary will not be enough to entice people to
Right.
apply to that line.
I get that.
We're not even in that situation yet, so my response is, if we are then in that position, using an already allocated fund, the discretionary fund, to fill that gap.
So we would take 6314 from the 10,000 and leave the rest of it for the mayor's discretionary fund, is what you're recommending? I'm just trying to clarify.
Yeah, no, which would be less than what's currently allocated to that line, so yes. If we needed it.
Except that what would we do to make up the rest of the expense? Like I'm saying, last year, $13,000 was spent on that line as the mayor's discretionary fund. So we would just have to figure out where would the rest of discretionary funds come if we were to use discretionary funding to increase the salary of the commissioner of finance. I just want to clarify,
But again, we don't know if we'll need it, so again, we're talking about a hypothetical. And then also, the mayor's discretionary fund is year to year.
Are you confused?
No, I'm not confused at all, I just wanna ask a question, what's it been used on? Did you use some of this, was some of the discretionary for hire, or was it all for?
It was never for hire.
I wanna know how you used it. So was it all for, giving out keys to the city and those kind of things? Or
Correct,
was-
none of it was used for salaries.
None of it was used to entice someone else to,
And most times, if that situation occurs, the position is vacant for a period of time. So the council, I use $10,000 as an example. If, well, use 12,000, it's easier for the math. If the position is open, council's authorized $12,000, I haven't been able to hire somebody for 2 months. I can actually pay them on an annual rate of $14,000 for the remainder of the year. And then where that has occurred, then I would come back to the council in the next budget and say, we've hired so-and-so, we had to pay a little bit more for it, and make the budget in the next year reflect what the actual salary is.
What's going, I'm sorry.
That's the take back the night.
Oh, okay.
that's right.
Okay.
They didn't get a noise permit though.
That's
Yeah,
like,
revenue.
come on, man. So, what was the takeaway of this? I'm just trying to get a number towards this line. So we're looking at 50, oh, there is no discretionary line at this point in time.
Sounds like the council already has the prerogative and the mayor already has the ability to authorize that additional, and it's a moot point.
But most of the time there's funding available in a salary line that can offset a shift. Like,
Or I come back to the city council and say, I've gotta hire somebody and I need
budget
$5,000,
reappropriation?
$10,000 to do it.
We have done that in the past many times, budget reappropriation.
And the line was not technically overspent last year. That was, Jamaican Power Systems, they asked me to go to Jamaica as part of the Smart City Conference. And I paid for it from the city, and then they reimbursed the city for that expense. So it looks like we overspent the line, but in fact, there's more revenue coming in to offset those expenses. That happened in past years where myself and John Coluccio, NIST, the National Institute of Standards Technology, was a routine speaker at some of their events. They would pay my expenses to go.
Despite all that, I mean, what is okay, do we want to put back down or not put back, but on board? Do we want to put $15,000 to this line, $20,000 to this line, and have it there available to the mayor?
You mean the recruitment line, not
Yes,
the discretionary?
Yeah. And that would be, yes, the mayor's recruitment fund.
I'm not asking.
Yeah. I'm just putting out the table because it's a question asked.
I'm okay not adding that back in.
Again, I don't think we need to do anything.
Okay.
So you're suggesting leaving the salary with just a 3%, and then when somebody else is hired, the mayor comes back to it?
Yes.
Just want to be clear.
So that's the commish.
The next one is A 3120-200 and 203.
Say one more time.
A 3120.
Oh, that's for, the lines, for the police. 831, that's for receiving the grants.
Yeah.
Yes, so you should have a document, the answer to that question in your backup.
Mr. Rivera, you skipped over the deputy position.
At the bottom of the
Did I?
page.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did.
Sorry. Let's go back up. Sorry.
It's okay.
Deputy Commissioner of Finance, additional 15%.
Okay. The mayor's proposed budget is 120,000. And at 15% of the 24 salary, it comes to 92,000.
Even?
Right, is that, am I correct?
So then, I know that we've talked about it a lot, so I'm just gonna say it out loud. So when you retire, the assumption would be that the current deputy would move up, and would they come in at that salary? Since I know that when we hire people that aren't current employees, that they may come in at a lower salary, but if it's an existing employee, would you bring them in at the same salary as the employee that's leaving? And having been in that department?
Don't have a position on that, it's when the situation actually occurs. Evaluate it, take appropriate.
That's actually, I think we should raise it so when it happens, you should get the, you're not gonna be able to get anybody at under 33,000, to tell you the truth.
You're not leaving.
Well, again, but for the deputy commissioner, I mean, I guess I would say that we're not gonna get anybody for 82, 4, or 92, I don't know, but I'm just saying,
Right.
is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's why we proposed to have the deputy at 120. Because, it's, being the commissioner or director of finance is not, it's a very difficult job, and we trade together for a while, but he does need a backup, to get somebody who's capable of helping him and going forward too,
So Mr. Williams's suggestion is sort of in the middle of those two figures.
I'm just saying, that's what it says, up to the council. And I would say the minimum for deputy commissioner has to be at least 100,000 minimum. Sorry, Mayor.
Sorry, who?
Mayor,
Oh, man.
120,000 is what we've thought, but 100,000, I think the minimum you could go for a deputy is 100,000. I'm just going to get somebody with experience.
Is Derek in this room?
Yes.
We gotta send you out there. All right,
I would say hearing that, if we were able to readjust the money that was originally appropriated to the deputy commissioner of finance, I would be in agreement with that.
Say that again,
The
I'm sorry.
$100,000, so if the original ask was for an additional 37,000, if we can take into consideration all of the management raises, these are just recommendations. If it was still able to be captured without any additional movement within the budget, I would be responsive to the $100,000 that the commissioner just recommended as the minimum.
is somebody making notes on that side there?
So we're looking at the deputy commissioner of finance going from 120 to 100, right?
That was suggested right now on the table, it's not really.
Possibly.
Yeah.
That's what's being discussed. No changes.
We now have 82, 4, 92, or 100.
Yeah. All right. The next one is A3120-200 and 203, and that's the PD. There is an email from Brian Little.
Yep.
AC.
Oh, let me just
One
have
year,
mine.
Keep track of this. So this is the answer to
So,
A3120-203. Oh, it's right here. Bless you.
what's Mr. Williams,
This room is first.
okay with this, the response? Or do we need
I'm just reading
anything
it.
additional to this? Okay, the next one is A3311-100. Is the 100 correct?
No, that's not correct, should be 200.
200, yes, I saw the emails back from
100
there.
is a salary.
Yes, yes. So you should have an email from, India also about that.
I'm just looking for that. Is that a Brian Cannon one?
Yes, Brian, Brian. So that is staple. And you will
33.
find his response to that item.
This is,
So-
A 5132.
Go ahead, please, go ahead.
So I was gonna say, it wasn't a mistake during the conversation, there was a discussion about the future, so our upcoming budget year, and how one of the positions was designated this year as ARPA funding, and the conversation was, how do you propose funding this line in the future? To which the response was potential EV funding streams. So my question simply was, is there any ability for us to try and capture that funding for this year's budget to offset that line? And the answer was a no, but it was not a mistake on my part.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I remember you asked that question, and yes, that question was asked, yes, sorry, yeah.
But I am sufficient
So
with
maybe going forward, in terms of funding, revenue from the EV charging station, is that something in the future? Give or take?
Well, some of the charging stations, we have to provide free electricity. Other ones we're charging for, but really it's at the level to cover our expenses for. So it's not gonna be, at this point, a big revenue source.
Yeah, and I remember what Brian did say that it's.
Now, the DC charging station that we're looking to put in on and Erie, those have the potential of generating positive revenue. The reality is the lead time for that is like 9 months. So you're not gonna see that installed, because those are $250,000 installations. 3/4 of the way through next year. And that's, I would budget money based on that.
That is a note for next year's budget. Okay. So we're good with that? The next one is A 5132-460.
I know Paul did not give an answer back, but he did call me, and he asked me just, what they mean by that, and says exactly what it says. He says that, as of right now, because our cars are so new, they're warranted, and they take them to a warranty, in a dealership for a warranty. And he says, they're very considering doing this, because as we are gaining more cars, as we want to get staff to train, we can't train them, he says, because nobody in our staff knows about it. We'll send them, one at a time to training. He goes, it's going to probably be within the future. He's not saying that for 2025. But it was a very good question.
Just kind of, so do you know where that training is, where locally there's people that do that training?
I think, just like how the dealerships, how their guys get trained, I think there's places where, we would send.
Hudson Valley has some training in that area, but it's an emerging market. So I don't know to what degree politics forward.
Yeah, that's what
You're
you're saying.
sending people there, or something, you have a professor or something come here.
Okay,
So 7310?
you have a question?
No, just move on to the.
Yeah, A 7310-419. addressing local business, allowed to apply with the youth employment opportunity. That's a youth program allocation.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Ferraris will be first in line.
I think it's a good idea too.
If we can.
That would have to
The
be,
question I think is broadly discusses with not only City Hall, to work at City Hall, but to kind of work on a broader scale to help with work, put placement into other business. It's a good idea.
I agree with that idea. I'd also like to see us, increase that line in order to accompany that, right?
I did ask for Asheville, today it was about 50,000-ish. 56,000 out of 150,000. So we're trying to,
We don't have any outstanding invoices from the school district, no, wouldn't be the school, it was
No.
for the city, so that's all we spent was 50,000.
yes, 56,000 out of the 150 from last year.
So there would have been an opportunity then to have young people in other places outside of City Hall, a long time ago. And they used to do the program through, Schenectady, SJTA, they would put young people all over, including like municipalities and all of that, but also in private businesses and things like that. So, I agree, I think that's something that we could explore again.
Go ahead, please.
I think it's a good idea, actually, also, certainly, I know from my pre-retirement, I would have loved to have had the opportunity to hire somebody and have somebody else pay for it. No, seriously, I'm just saying, I think it's a really good idea, and then plus there's there's youth that have different career interests.
Right.
So it really is a nice partnership with, whether it's businesses, whether it's nonprofits, it would be a good idea. In terms of what President Porterfield just said, didn't we last year give some money to SJTA to, I thought we did.
Yes,
Last 2 years.
last 2 years,
Last 2 years.
22,
So,
23.
but we're not considering that this year, I guess, I don't
In
think that we've talked.
2025, I think that's what they asked the table is to
Does that money
have employment.
No, we, oh, go ahead,
I
Mr.
have to
Ray.
ask Anthony where that money that went to SJTA, that we put money into the county program.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah, this year they didn't give us anything.
oh,
They didn't give us any bills.
But that's the line that would have,
have.
is that the line that would have come out of?
Yes.
Yes.
If you
Okay.
want to still, we spend.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were still
They
doing that.
definitely ran the program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they,
The question is, do we have enough money? And I think I asked this a couple times, and it's back here.
So,
I mean,
no,
look at the spend today, it is $56,000, and if all that was spent to kind of the youth employment in City Hall, so we're talking about
parks.
94,000, parks also,
Like-
sorry.
Still city.
So we're looking at about $94,000 of, if we were to apply them back at City Hall and the parks, another $60,000. So we're looking at, $90,000 there available to help all this other business.
I don't think that's enough.
I was just wondering why we didn't spend the whole amount of money. In other words, what you're saying is the county didn't, I know,
This was
again, I
designed-
wanna say, I mean,
the
they-
higher in the city, some of it in the summer programs
Yeah.
did not take off the way I thought they were going
Okay.
to. And
It could be because of construction too.
there may have been some things that Chris Lund hired that had been charged out of other accounts. So
Okay.
that number might be a little high in terms of what is actually there. It's not significant, it might be $5,000, but
Go ahead.
Can you, Mr. Farley, bring me back to, I think, your first year of council? There were a whole bunch of students that you hired, or not you personally, the city hired.
2022, we did it was a partnership with the city
Yeah.
and the
School district.
Right, so was
In the
this,
county.
Yes.
okay, was
That's
this
because
line or no?
Yes, that's
It
the
was,
same one,
okay.
yes.
What did we, and do you recall what we spent that year?
I think it's in your, doesn't it show?
It's right on that, and if you go back to
Oh.
the
Prior years.
prior years,
I
yeah.
got it.
But, yes,
It's
I thought it was more.
140,255.
they really utilize that
Right.
money that 2022.
Right. And I think So initially, Doreen, because now you're kind of triggering my memory here, that there was conversation around whether the county was the appropriate partner or something that we wanted to bring more in-house. So I don't know if that dynamic shifted, and which is why we would see, go from spending 140,000 to 50,000. So I don't know if that, if that was a programmatic change that could have happened. Because this year, are we still partnering with the county? Well, then that would explain.
What happened too, I remember our person who was running, our store.
Yeah.
He had left, Willie left, so I don't know what happened since then, That's probably what happened too.
Go ahead, please.
Well, no, I think, I think whether we leave it at 150 or if we add more money, I think it's really valuable. I mean, you never know whether actually youth, just, again, based on when I was working, but I mean, sometimes we had trouble recruiting youth, even through SJTA. They sometimes have trouble, I think, right? Not anymore?
Maybe at one point,
this is,
but
I'm
not
talking
now.
about when I was working, so.
Okay, I don't know.
I think it's a really valuable program. I really can't emphasize that enough, so whether we stay at 150 or whether we add money, but again, if we add money, we have to take money away from someplace else.
There is no doubt it's a very successful program, and to kind of like getting these youth out there into the working environment, because if we can recall in 2022 when Dr. Kuda came here and did a presentation after the work program, and he was like telling us that these businesses were asking these youth to come back and to do part-time because of the work ethics they were developing
really
at that point in time. Those are things that, hit you to see that we continue to fund them. And that's why I always ask, and all of us, none of us are asking to get rid of that, we're asking to kind of help it. But at the same time, we need to spread it and utilize it. So I think there needs to be a more broader partnership with the city, the Parks Department, City Hall, Parks Department, and the other business in the city.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to expand it beyond that. If working for the city is wonderful, it's fine.
Yeah.
Working in the parks, depends on what you like.
So
But I think there's so many other opportunities and so many other industries that are emerging where young people can gain skills. And like you said, if you had a business and you didn't have to pay somebody, but they get training and then you get some extra help. And like I said, there's emerging things that young people are really interested in that,
We have those companies.
yeah. Like, I don't know, did anybody work in the IT department this year? I think that would be a great place to work.
We did not have,
Those are
yes, people worked in the IT
I mean,
department,
young
but
people.
not
She means
during
you.
the summer program.
Yeah, that was good.
those are sensitive departments.
Some of them.
We have to have
There was some-
Cybersecurity.
Oh.
cybersecurity sensitive department. We can't have part-time or people who are intern there. So
Well, they can prepare stuff.
So
I think this is calling for a more broader discussion and to bring in players into this and to kind of craft out a plan of how do we involve everybody.
Funding was there, the funding is there next year.
Yes.
well, I don't think the funding is adequate. That's what I'm saying.
Well, as you see, we never spent 150 yet, so.
No. So for clarity, because the money wasn't spent, does not mean that the need is not there. I would.
There's a lot of need, we all know that.
I know, absolutely. So the point of this process is as to we assess the need, then we respond in kind. And what I'm suggesting, and what I don't think we need, even though I like collaboration and partnership, I don't think we need other people to come in here to tell us that our youth need greater investment in our youth. So I think that's a simple position that I'm pretty confident in taking and saying I think that we need to respond, and I think that we need to boost that budget. And it seems like the mechanism has changed from having a partner with a broader reach, and then that partner is no longer a part of it. And I think that would reflect more of why we're at the number that we're at, not the need of the youth. Kids need employment. This is actually and I definitely credit the city council and the mayor for this. This was the first time the city actually, this was usually a county thing. So this was the first time we did this was, the city taking some ownership in that process. And I think that it was extremely successful, and we could tell by the climate of our community, these things are needed more and more. So yeah, I think it is a serious consideration. I don't know that we need a whole bunch of further research to know that. So I think that that's something that I'm willing to look at, and I think I welcome my colleagues to do so as well.
And the evidence is there when we had the larger partnership back in 22 that we spent almost all the money.
So, and I'll be back to, we brought a discussion with all of us, including the mayor, to bring the players to the table and say, okay, we need to expand this, we need to utilize the funding, whatever the number is, and let's maximize it to benefit the youth.
Okay, and we're gonna be able to do that before the budget?
No, we don't need, we pass the budget and then we bring those and then we set the stage.
And me and you are on the same page, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
let's allocate the funds and then
Allocate the
programmatic
funds,
decisions.
there,
we
and
can
then bring it,
decide
and start implementing it. How do we move forward to spending?
So how much are we allocating?
Council?
Well, are we making those decisions right now, or are we still going
No,
through
we're
Carl's,
just putting
going through
numbers like
Carl's
how,
list?
what we did,
Yeah.
you know, like how Anthony came back with a draft of whatever we had suggested. It's not something that we had agreed on, it's suggested changes from the yesterday. So something like this where we're just, you know, kind of like brainstorming and trying to put some numbers against these lines to see where we are.
Just remember, when you add something, you have to take it.
Yes,
That's right.
and that's what I'm saying, and that's what you did here, it's more of
I
documents
think we
for
have
us
to
to
keep
look
going
at.
through.
That seems to be the case in every budget line, right?
Every
So
line,
this one's no different? Okay.
whatever you're taking out, whatever you're adding, you have to take on
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
We should ask those.
Do I have a suggested amount? Yeah, I'd like to see that, yeah, I'd like to see another $100,000 in that line.
What are you suggesting, Mr.
I
Burns?
said, I would like to see another $100,000 in that line.
To make that to 250?
Yup.
Well, at the same time, you know, we'll put you on the spot, Rick, we need to look at, where is that 100,000 coming from? But you know, I'm just throwing that out
Sure.
there.
We got-
So, you can go, we have some homework.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I just think that
Yeah.
every time we talk about adding, that's the same
Yes.
formula we have to use, right?
Yes,
So
it
I'm
has
fully
to be-
aware.
It has to be an in and out.
I'm fully aware, because we
Yes.
say that every time.
No, I
Every
just
budget
want-
we talk about.
So
Go ahead, please.
the lifeguards are in a different place, I just want to
Yes.
point that out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we do also hire youth,
Yes.
in
But that's
that
through the
budget.
Boys and Girls Club, right?
That's a contract to the Boys and Girls Club.
And those are funding already set aside for that.
Well, anyway, I think,
There's one also hired at the golf course this summer, but.
I think so too.
This year?
Because Matt Taylor was looking into something, but again, that wasn't charged out of this money, but it was kind of conceptually something that should have been there.
Anthony, you need to reappropriate those money. You need to put them in the rightful line. It doesn't make.
It's out of the golf fund,
Yeah.
let's leave it there. It's a-
Yeah.
golf fund did good.
Yeah, golf, leave it in golf if it's in golf.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I think it sounds to me like we're all in agreement that we want to support youth employment.
Yeah, that's.
So
that's-
I think we can move on, but.
Yes.
So we're all in agreement with my $100,000?
I'm not,
I can
I
feel
need
the
to see the whole
passion.
thing first.
Oh, okay, I'm just wondering, okay.
Go ahead, please.
So we can go through all the
All
questions.
right, all right.
We were talking about potential, and there's a probably good chance, right, some of the ARPA money will be coming back.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
And we're looking at changing up this program a bit, right, and the partnerships. So that would be a source.
That
would be an
excellent source.
And then see how we do for that year, and then fund it the following year if it goes well, at that same amount.
I think that's an excellent suggestion, because if
Yeah.
we take back money, from ARPA, I believe that this would be a legitimate use of ARPA funding, because we have, I think,
Yeah, that was.
But I think that all these
question was raised
program-
by Mr. Turner.
all these program questions, we can address after we pass a budget, but,
It's a good suggestion, but I think what was discussed in the last couple meetings is that it's funded by ARPA currently.
Right.
So we are looking, I made a
Oh.
suggestion to fund it permanently in the budget next year because ARPA is going away.
that's the way.
So next year, we will not be dealing with the blue line, it will be coming out directly from the general fund for this youth employment
Oh, it is a
program.
blue line. Hmm.
So whatever that number is, if it's, there's an agreement to, what's the number, 250,000, it will have to be permanent in the budget, funding from general fund going forward.
Again, and I know you guys get sick of me putting on my fundraising hat. But
Nobody's
I think
sick of anybody.
in any case,
Yes.
this is something, when we look at overall, we finished going through all these questions, but I mean, again, it would be a staff, not us, but, you know, I think there's ways to raise money, to make up some of that money as well. For something like that, I could see that we might have businesses or whatever that might make donations into a fund that was funding
That's
youth employment.
That's a good thing, because if we're sending employment, part-time employment to them, at some point in time, they can make a donation towards a program or two. Yeah, see, coming in good, keep that happening.
They could pay half the salary.
Yeah.
And another thing that we have to look at is that how does this impact, you know, and drive down costs in other areas once you have youth with less idle time.
Yes.
And the other point that we want to consider is that money that's going into youth is likely going to recirculate within our local economy. So there's a couple of variables that we have to really consider when we're making that decision.
Good
So,
point.
and with those new points, I think my $100,000 suggestion was a little low, so we'll revisit that when we get there.
You're really fighting for that
Yeah,
100,000.
okay. I'm a little low on that actually, so.
Okay. It is noted, we have notes,
Okay, next.
Anthony, we're taking notes of these, suggested numbers.
Move
It's just suggested.
further away
numbers
from
to take
Anthony.
over.
I'm gonna scoop my chair down here.
We're not asking for changes at the point in time, we just to kind of like put that on paper.
So now we're at 2130D.
The next one is, revenue 82130D.
I spoke to Paul about these, he says, the city, we're in negotiations with the towns of Missuna, Rotterdam,
Scotia.
and Scotia Grenville. So he just wants to know, we are in negotiations right now with those for water and sewer.
Okay. And
I'm not sure we've actually opened negotiations with.
I don't think we discussed this in a session, but if there's more, if we need to elaborate on this, I think we need to, at the end, go into
I don't have
executive.
the details, I'm just saying.
Yeah, we need to go into executive session and conclude these here. Mr. William, would you like more discussion on it, as to where they are, and from there, and we can,
I think that'd be appropriate.
okay. So we'll then do that like we did last night, and then go in and we'll get some more information. The next one is golf, CR 2025N.
Right before I came to the meeting, Matt sent me a message, did I send, was I able to send it, I can't remember.
no, but I also
So he
asked.
said the breakdown of seasonal membership is 50% city residents and 50% non-residents on seasonal membership. And he also says on the rounds, 22,000 rounds from non-residents, 6,000 rounds from residents. Is that
We indicated that regular rounds, total starts for the season 18 hole rounds, overwhelmingly non-resident, with approximately 22,000 rounds coming from non-residents and approximately 6,000 coming from residents.
I can't believe I remember that.
You says you have that, can you share that?
Yeah, well,
I
I'll
will
send it.
pass it on
It was just when I was leaving.
to members, yeah. I think that's all your question, Mr. Williams. We didn't miss anything.
I know for this question specifically, also delving a little deeper, I know I'm not necessarily a golfer, but trying to identify other segments of the community to see if we can boost membership, or see if there are other concerted efforts we can make. We can contribute a significant amount of ARPA dollars to this one area of the city, and I think trying to look or evaluate ways to increase partnership from our local residents is important, but without that truth data that Mr. Farley always highlights, we might not be aware of any additional efforts we need to make to entice some other communities.
I will say, I saw some kids on the golf course shout out to Brian Ledbetter. He's had a group of young men who actually is a golf team now.
Yeah.
And it was really, really interesting and really great to see. So, but yes, we would like to, I agree with you, Mr. Williams. That's something we want to increase.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, just that, school district did not have a golf team, has now reconstituted it. And I tried to hire one of the kids, now my memory's coming back, for the golf course, and he had other opportunities, so it's not that, it's all good, but just that is how do you get people taking advantage of, you know, whether it's the golf course, the swimming pool, the A-diamond, basketball courts, the amenities that we have within the city, so that and they can hopefully turn it into lifetime pursuits.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that we can have Matt back at some point in time, a committee meeting to talk about that. This good points that you're bringing up there. And I think they do come forward every year to kind of like look at fees almost every year as I've been here. They will come and they will suggest that we increase the fee and at the same time tell us, you know, what's happening out there and their competitors. We can talk to you,
No, I'm not talking about playing at all.
Yeah.
I was supposed to play today, but never made it. But anyway, we had a pretty hefty fee increase for season passes, I think 2 years ago, which affected, I think, a lot of our residents. So as far as the fee piece, but I'm just so proud of our course and what we have to offer, that 22,000 non-residents are coming to play. As far as putting the amount of resources we did into this course, the 3 million for irrigation, which will only, I think, improve residents and non-residents alike coming in. But we've also spent a whole lot of money in different parts of the city where, you know, there's not much revenue that comes in from there. So again, I think it was a huge asset of what we put in there. And I'm proud of what the city's done, what we've done, and it will continue, I think, to be a big, very large revenue source moving forward. So thank you.
I would throw out to the council is the ceremonial role of the mayor is opening the golf course. I drive out the first and have been challenged by members of the golf team.
Yes.
Nice school.
And generally, the mayor doesn't do too well in that challenge. And so I would open it up to challenge the city council when we open it up, and we can all
We all have our strengths.
That is not one of mine. That is not one of mine.
We will take our training lessons.
I will come and laugh at you guys when the kids kick your butt, but I will not.
They do.
But I will not participate, no.
Well, I just want to say, I mean, again, I am not a golfer, as Mr. Williams said, but it's just, you know, I spend a lot of time talking with Matt, and just because of my health and recreation role here, but it's an amazing course. I have so many friends that are golfers who just talk, again, I can't speak for myself, but you know, that it's such an excellent course that it rivals private clubs. So I just think Matt does, you know, an amazing job. And I also want to say we have a really active golf advisory committee as well, and they are very committed to the course, and they, you know, they're just a really active group of volunteers as well.
No, and just to add to that, not only the golf, we have invested a lot of money into the parks, and I mean.
Yeah, well, I think it's
aggressive
important.
approach from the mayor, from us, and all the departments, so all our parks are seeing a lot of investment, and they're generating revenue too, because people are paying fees, you know, for certain things to use the facility. So all these things are, you know, coming into place, and development are happening across the city in terms of facility that people can use and, you know, benefit from. And at the same time, we're generating some revenue to help offset costs.
I just want to clarify, so, are you saying that, Mr. Chorro, that the fee increase was prohibitive for some residents? You felt like we had a drop off there?
I seriously do, I do. I think it was huge. Not huge, I'm sorry.
Don't say huge.
Okay. And I think doubled, Mayor.
Well, let's be clear, it's not the fee to play just a round of golf. It is the season pass. And I will tell you that that is one of the best values in the capital region.
Yeah,
So that,
I was about to say that because when Matt came to us, he was saying that our fee is, regardless of him raising it up, it's
really
still
low.
below our competitors around the capital region,
And
and we offer
The best, right?
the best facility.
It was a season pass, and I do know quite a few people reached out to me that they had to drop their season pass membership.
Oh,
They could go out and play 4 times a day if they wanted, 365 days a year, well, I mean, of course, it was open, but.
Some of them are there 360.
Yes, and they get their money's worth, but it was quite an investment too, a lot
A
of.
season pass, I don't even know.
Season
what that
pass
is.
owners and.
I don't play golf.
There's,
It's a good point.
and I don't know the number, what is it, $1,500?
Yeah, yeah,
So you pay the $1,500 and then you can basically play whenever you want. As opposed to going up and paying for the
Paying round by
9
round.
holes or the 18 holes.
and I think it was maybe 800 prior,
Oh, that
so,
sounds
it
dumb.
was, but we approved it, so.
Yeah,
Based on-
so I think when Matt is back, I'm sure he's gonna be back here next year, before us. We can raise these conversation with him and to talk about, the raises and how it affect, the usage.
Because I don't have that chart with me
Yeah.
now, but I mean, even, and again, my golf knowledge is limited, but, I hear what Mr. Toro is saying, but I know that the other fees go up very, very minimally,
Right.
when Matt comes to us every year.
Well, and I think if I could speak, for myself and maybe the council, we trust him with his instinct.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we should. And he's out there, he's a pro, so that's what kind of like, he's bringing this to us, he's asking us, he's giving us comparison at that point in time to show that, hey, what's happening out there in Colony and Layton, we're still under.
And I do think, I'm sorry, but I just want to say, again, for the last few years, I've been talking with him about the whole, getting more youth out there. So the idea that the school has reinstituted, you're saying, a golf team is awesome. That'll be really great for all of us. And I think as the mayor said, if they get into a lifetime habit, it's a good thing.
The mayor will get his intern this year, next year.
An intern to do the
Yeah.
first golf shot for
Yes.
him?
Yeah. But I guess, I think what that kind of hike in the fee was more responsive to the fact that they haven't been raised consistently. So I think at a consistent rate, to be consistent with the other municipalities, they haven't. Because when he came, he presented, he said, hey, we're still way below. So I think some of that, what you might experience is a little bit of the ticket shock, right? Of wow. And then maybe after that, because once you're getting something at a certain value, even if it doubles, even if you're still getting it at, even if it's still a far greater value, you can experience a little bit of ticket shock. But I think that's something that will, kind of self-correct. People will start to come back.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, and the problem that's evolving with the golf course is just what Mr. Farley's talking about, is you cannot get a tee time. The demand is there so that people are lining up, and so we raised the prices on some of that to, again, level it out so in fact people could play and enjoy it. Having said that, there's still times on like Sunday afternoon and other times when utilization is very low. We've talked about it before, not specifically this council, but historically, is how do you get people to come in on the Sunday afternoon, later on some of the other afternoons where it's slow, to take advantage of the investment that we've made, be able to have a good time and maybe play golf when they wouldn't otherwise play, or bring people in for the experience where they could learn golf and take it up as a continual activity going forward.
I put 20%
Go
off
ahead,
there.
please.
But if I'll just throw this in, people advertise free golf, hot dogs, $39. So, it gets you in there, free golf, it doesn't, anyway, but there's lots of different
I like
things out
that.
there, thank you, yeah.
Well, this is interesting, yeah. So we can address that when Matt is before us next year. Or if we need to bring him in earlier, we can. Parks, share, health and rec, share.
To bring Matt in?
Kind of like, if we need to. before he comes before us, when he suggested revenue increase next year, because he does that all the year. Any other question on this? So Anthony, what I would ask, take away from this is that we can't do any in and out of this, but if you can just create a spreadsheet to show what it was costs associated with the recommendation.
Yes,
The associated costs,
yes,
but not an in and out,
not what?
not an in and out, just a cost.
Yes. Yeah, that's it, yeah.
There is a backup in here. Is this, report to,
Mr. Ferrari said something we need to discuss that. Contingency, the $20,000.
20,000.
So there's no need to discuss that.
You know, what is that?
What is,
Remember, that was where you were gonna take the money from the police money, but now it's coming out of contingency. The supplanting we had this discussion about supplanting.
there is a suggestion on the table to take it out of contingency.
So that's, and I'm
Okay.
fine with that.
Okay, so we don't need.
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yep. Nope.
Are we missing any questions from last night? Are we missing any stuff from last night? I thought we had a couple
we didn't go
more.
over all of these yet, have we? Did we go over these 3 pieces that we had in our packet when we got here?
Yes, we did.
Responses.
Yeah, this is the one I talked about, the,
That's that one.
Monday
The other-
presentation,
Mhm.
that the, yes.
Okay.
This is the one with the fee, the excessive waste fee, I asked.
Yep.
The $500,000, and we're moving forward to move that. Hopefully calling for public hearing, if council is in agreement, we'll call for the public hearing and move forward. This one here is the, youth program. I'd ask for year to the,
Okay.
actual,
And I sent it.
and that's,
Yep,
yes,
yep,
you
no, I
did,
just
yeah.
wanted to make sure
Yes,
we were
it's
covering all this.
56,000, yes, you did.
There's no headings on any of these.
Sorry, it's confusing, it's printed on both sides. But we did,
And now we got the answer. In an email.
and we did address the ARPA reports, the outstanding, issues that we had from last evening. All right.
Okay.
Are there any other questions needs to be submitted to Anthony or any department head? I would like if we can wrap up all the, no hard feelings, but I would like to wrap up all the questions. And if we have any, please submit it so we can get answered, because at some point in time, we're gonna have to cut out the questions and start move in the direction of conclusion. So please, if you have any questions, please ask now or submit it this evening. I would really appreciate it, because I would like us to start moving to arrive at a conclusion. And again, please reach out to the mayor, please reach out to Anthony if you have any questions, any concerns, any recommendation.
Make sure if you send something to me, send it.
Oh, sorry, Derek. Oh, God, I thought you were. Yeah, please copy Derek also, and Anthony, copy the mayor, so, we want you to ask questions, we want you to get answered. And I am hoping that all the questions have been answered, and if there's anything outstanding, we can answer them tomorrow. And I'm hoping that we can deliver it tomorrow for a conclusion. I think we can do that. I don't see a point at this time, any question outstanding or any hot topic that is the table that needs to be addressed. And if there's anything that I'm missing, please let me know. Go ahead.
I
please.
guess, just in terms of prepping for tomorrow night, if there's anything that people feel like they're going to raise that might be items that we might need to debate, it would be good to have sort of heads up on that so we can think about that. So, I mean, we really haven't talked at all about that, so.
I won't use that word.
Well, you know, that
We
we
want
don't
to,
discuss.
yes, thank you. We want to discuss it, friendly discussion, not debate. We're gonna change the way how we do things. So we'll have friendly discussion. So yes, and thank you for that. If you go back after this tonight, tomorrow morning, during the day, please reach out with your recommendation. If you want to see, like, just use, the money, $250,000.
300,000, but yeah, I know.
We're not allowed to.
We better
I have it
break
on
or
right
they'll
here.
keep
I'm not
going up.
changing it. I'm just making a suggestion.
I understand what you're saying.
You're making a suggestion of 250,000 and guide, help us to, where do we take that out from?
Sure.
Where do we increase revenue? Do we take it out of the line? Make a suggestion, so that way it
Sure.
helps Anthony, it helps us to move, and that's a recommendation that would avoid a lengthy discussion as to back and forth.
Sure thing.
So come up with that, everybody, I'm just using an example.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm
anybody
glad you
else,
picked
myself to include it.
Yes, of course.
If I'm gonna make a recommendation to say that I think that we should increase X, Y, Z, I need to come up with a plan, where do we take it from? We cannot, the suggestion on the table with yesterday's recommendation, Anthony came back with a suggestion, contingency. Now, we have to be careful, our actual to date is 332,000. And if you're dropping it to 220, that's a little dangerous. So we need to, at a point, bring that to the table and say, is that realistic? To me, no, that's not realistic, because our contingency needs to stay at that point in time for fire. It happens all the time, we can't avoid it. We have to do emergency demo, they need funding on that line to help with that.
If you want to add something, you have to take it away from something.
That's what I'd say, so I'm putting that out. We are making suggestion here today, we haven't taken it up, we have to, yes? Or,
I guess,
not only take it,
Yeah, if you get money back, take it from our,
yeah, not only take it out, if we are suggesting to take it out of certain lines, we have to be, realistic. And at the same time, we're looking at if we want to increase revenue. Those are suggestions that we need to bring tomorrow.
No question. Anthony, what do we have to do if we add something? Can you declare that for one more time?
if you add something, you have to take it away.
Okay, got it, okay.
Or.
You note that. Okay, got it.
Want me to follow up an email for you?
Yeah, please, if you wouldn't mind. Help me out a little bit, yeah.
Show me the
You
money.
got it. Better show you for somewhere, right?
So, please, all of us, including myself, recommendation as to how we move forward and conclude tomorrow.
So,
If you can submit that ahead of time, that would be very, very helpful. So Anthony can bring suggestion and the costs associated with your suggestion.
so before tomorrow night's meeting, will we have an update on the changes that have been at least sort of suggested? I know we got this, right? So
Yes.
this is it.
If you
This
can
is
just
it?
look up cost analysis on this.
Yeah,
Just no in and out.
You're just looking for cost analysis.
Yes.
You're not
Oh,
looking
yeah.
for.
No, in and out. This is just, yes.
But if we can get it ahead of time, at least we'd have time to think about
Yes.
it before we come to the table.
Can
I
you-
guess I'm just trying to avoid any shocking kinds of things that, when we come to the table, I'd rather have.
No, good point.
you know.
And if you can do this tomorrow morning-ish and share it with us, morning, so that, to the council, so we have this here.
Yeah.
So we look at this as not a proposal, the one that we received today versus this one tomorrow.
Let's go over it.
Yeah. Submit your proposal. If you don't wanna submit it, please call the mayor, call Anthony, discuss, you're free, have open phone conversation with the mayor, with Anthony.
Derek,
You might not wanna pen it in an email, please make phone calls.
I'll call you there.
Make phone calls and come to the table with an understanding of how we move forward. If you wanna talk about the ARPA and the reallocation that we didn't touch on, talk about it openly, see where we are. We have, some agency that might not up to par, what do we do with it? You brought up a good point earlier. Should we consider this into this budget? That's an open question.
But it was my understanding from when Ms. Carver was here that we can't consider it into the budget, right? Is that what I heard, or is that, we only are looking at those 4 things, no?
That's already in the budget.
Right.
To balance the budget, we can allow that.
Okay, so we can
If
still
we
take,
were-
we
if
can
we
still
were to
take
make-
funding from other
Yes.
pieces.
If we were to make any adjustment on those 4 recommendations on the ARPA line, we will have to find other source of income,
Okay.
revenue to offset that. We were talking about earlier, there are 2 that we're talking about that we're steering down. And that's what we made some reference towards it, and that's what kind of like brought it back.
But if we're talking about that, I think that we should be aimed at city, things within the city.
Yes.
And I don't mean salaries though, I mean other projects like the parks, things in the parks, whatever else needs to
Could
be
be
done in the
600,000.
city.
What you're
So-
saying, so if we take other funds from other agencies, from
It's
our,
not going to our
besides those
agencies,
4,
it's gonna remain in-house to offset,
some of the
to
things
help
we just
us,
talked
yes.
about.
Exactly, yes. I think
That's what I was thinking when I was going over everything today, so, yeah.
so we have our homework tonight and into tomorrow, and tomorrow evening. And Anthony will provide that, cost breakdown for us, and do we have anything else? Joe?
No, I think we have pretty much everything.
So we'll just go into executive session, we'll deal with, the revenue, the 3 items, and then we'll break until tomorrow.
Oh, we're going into executive session.
Yeah, so I just need a motion to go into executive session.
I think you need to make the motion more clear out what we're talking about executive session.
It's, there are 3 items, A 2130D, FX 2140B, and G 2122K.
Outside.
Outside, contract negotiation.
Negotiations with other municipalities.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay,
That is pending, and,
okay.
they're just gonna write them down tomorrow.
I'll make the motion.
Second, all in favor? Aye. We're in executive session.
Make a motion to have a rest
Me too.
Not allowed.
Okay.
Come on, I'm not asking a question.
I also have, I had Larry Lewis speak to Rotary today about the concern for the hungry, so in case anybody's interested, I only have 4 copies, but,
Part of the budget, part of our.
oh, no, not for the budget, I just, in case anybody wanted to volunteer.
No, not part of the
Concerned for
budget.
volunteers.
Talk about, I thought you
I said, they're a little